As he prepares for Florence, President Trump doubling down on his claim that his administration's response to Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico was a success, despite thousands of people dying in the months following the disaster. So let's bring in the Lieutenant Governor and Secretary of State of Puerto Rico, Luis Rivera Marin. Thank you for joining us in studio. Good to have you.
It's great to be here, and our prayers with all of those brothers and sisters that are getting right now ready for the landfall of this monster storm, and especially the first responders, many of whom were in Puerto Rico just a few months ago.
Yeah, you told me they came to your aid, and so I know you're watching very closely. I want to play a little bit of something what the president had to say in the last 24 hours about what happened with Maria, and then get your reaction. Here's what he said.
I think it was one of the best jobs that's ever been done with respect to what this is all about. The problem with Puerto Rico is their electric grid and their electric generating plant was dead before the storms ever hit.
There's been a lot made of what he had to say. You were there on the ground. What do you make of the federal response?
Well, let me tell you that even before Maria made landfall, we have federal presence of different agencies like DOD, DHS were there because Irma was our first hit. So certainly for the last year, what we've had is federal agencies shoulder to shoulder with Puerto Rico, making sure we can recover. We cannot forget that just days after the storm, the president and the vice president Pence were on the same week with the leadership, many agency heads, just making sure that Puerto Rico could recover. I can attest that this is the largest natural disaster in the nation's history. Certainly, there's a lot of work moving forward to recover, and we just filed with the federal government what is our action plan, so we can allow the relocation of thousands of families that deserve dignified housing. So moving forward, we're certainly have a lot of work, and we are seeking support from federal agencies. Many have politicized this matter, and certainly some of the local leaders, like the mayor of San Juan, that has been expressing dissatisfaction.
Well, and we've got a little bit of what she had to say, and so we'll play that and let you respond. This is the mayor of San Juan.
The president is all about political posturing. It's all about how good he's going to look. And I hope, for everybody's sake and for the sake of lives being saved in North and South Carolina, that FEMA has learned their lessons, that the president has learned their lessons.
Was there a problem of coordination between the federal government and some of these state and local leaders? Was that part of the breakdown?
Well, there were certainly lessons learned in this process. We're talking about a major event whereby we lost all telecommunications. Our radars were lost, so we didn't have airports, and our ports were closed by the Coast Guard for safety reasons. So certainly communications was an issue. Nevertheless, we had all the support regarding alternative methods of doing so. I'm talking about CB radios. I'm talking about non-traditional ways that we had to innovate in order to recover. Certainly, there were lessons learned. There is bureaucracy in the federal government. There is bureaucracy in state governor. And that's why Ricardo Rosselló, our governor, is battling against bureaucracy, battling against red tape. I was in a Congress hearing together with FEMA Administrator Brock Long, and he recognized that FEMA has bureaucratic red tape, which somehow doesn't allow proper response, because response is from the local government. And certainly there were lessons learned, and that's part of this process.
I want to ask you, when I was doing some research for this to talk with you tonight, I found a video of you online. My Spanish is not great, but it was enough for me to find. It was from you last fall, going through supplies of food and water and things that had never gotten to people. In fact, it looked like they had been discarded from what I could interpret in my terrible Spanish. What was that all about?
Well, it's about that we need to make sure that we delivered the food and the water to those that are in need, and we do it in a timely manner. And sometimes it's up to local government to do that. I remember greeting Governor Rick Scott from Florida, who has been a champion to Puerto Rico and helping us in the recovery, and he was giving me guidance and advice on how to use volunteers, how to use the churches as a vehicle to deliver. In this case, there was a major supplies. I'm talking about food rations, about water that one of our local leaders just left in the weather.
We got to leave it there, but thank you for checking in with us tonight.